The filibuster is this centuries-old tool in the Senate. It lets the minority party block the will of the majority unless that majority can get 60 senators, a supermajority, on board to overcome it.
From between 1917 and 1971, the filibuster existed. There were a total of 58 motions to break a filibuster that whole time. Last year alone, there were 5 times that many.
The filibuster is used these days on almost all major legislation, and that includes Democrats' top priority, which is to set a federal standard for how states hold their elections. Republicans are blocking these priorities from getting a vote in the Senate by filibustering it, and that essentially means Democrats can't pass it at all because Democrats would need 60 senators to overcome it. They only have 50. And 10 Republican senators are just not there in supporting election reform. So Democrats came up with this idea just to get rid of the filibuster for voting rights legislation. Ironically, Senate rules say you can do that with just a majority vote. Republicans can't filibuster a vote to get rid of the filibuster.
The debate over the Senate's 60-vote threshold shines a light on our broader challenges.
2 senators, famously, Senators Kyrsten Sinema of Arizona and Joe Manchin of West Virginia, voted with Republicans and said, I will keep the filibuster intact. Even though they support voting rights changes, they do not support getting rid of the filibuster to pass them.
I cannot support such a perilous course for this nation when elected leaders are sent to Washington to unite our country, not to divide our country.
And that meant Democrats' efforts both to break through the filibuster and to pass voting rights changes were completely done.
On this vote, the yeas are 52, the nays are 48.
For now, filibuster reform is probably dead. Democrats just don't have the votes within their party, and Republicans could gain even more seats and perhaps the majority in this year's midterm elections. But Senate watchers say they feel like the filibuster is probably a goner eventually. That's because both parties have played a role in getting rid of it for political appointees, and we saw what a slippery slope that was. Now you have a major party really trying to push getting rid of the filibuster for legislation.
The United States Senate, designed to be the world's greatest deliberative body, has been rendered a shell of its former self.
And Senate watchers say they feel like that's a slippery slope to getting rid of the filibuster entirely. All it's going to take is for one party to want an issue more than they want to keep the filibuster. And that would mean the Senate would change to become more of a majority vote chamber, just like the House of Representatives. In the meantime, Senate Democrats' legislation on voting rights is stuck. Unless they win more seats in next November's midterm elections, they have no way to break through Republican filibuster and pass this. But they do have a chance, however small, to pass another part of President Biden's agenda, portions of his Build Back Better plan, this broad spending bill trying to expand the federal government safety net. Democrats are passing this by ducking a Republican filibuster using an arcane Senate procedure called reconciliation. It lets them dodge the filibuster on issues related directly to spending. Both parties have done this in recent years to try to pass their priorities. The problem there for Democrats is that they need all 50 Senate Democrats on board, and Senator Joe Manchin in particular has expressed opposition to this legislation. But there's at least still a hope that Senate Democrats could get him on board with this, whereas it seems like breaking through the filibuster is not an option for Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema, and therefore Democrats.